You're very welcome back to the Agriland Pavilion here on day 3 of the National Ploughing Championships. Now, politicians of different persuasions don't tend to agree on a lot, but there appears to be one thing that they do agree, at least they have done over the last couple of days, and that is that the debate over the current nitrates derogation in Ireland is far from over. I'd like to welcome you to our pavilion, Catherine of the Oireachtas Committee on Agriculture, Food and Marine, Deputy Jackie Cahill, and also the Sinn Féin spokesperson on Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, Deputy Clare Kerrane. Deputy Cahill, first of all, the IFA has accused the government of sacrificing farmers to stay in power. Do you think that's fair?
Sacrificing farmers?
Farmers to stay in power.
No, I think now, there's been a bit of posturing going on about the derogation. The Oireachtas Committee, which I chair, were in Brussels 2 weeks ago. We met the Environmental Commissioner. He was emphatic that the decision was made on the derogation. There was absolutely no room for negotiation. They had made the decision. His Environmental Committee had made the decision, and there was going to be no revisiting of it. And I think we most definitely need now to concentrate on the 220. And I'm delighted the Commissioner has agreed to come to Ireland and see our unique style of farming here, because when we go back for the renegotiation of the 220, we will be the only farmers in Europe at that stage with a derogation. So I think we need to concentrate now on trying to maintain the 220. Hopefully we'll have water quality showing improvement, and derogation farmers, as you know, have taken on a lot of extra conditions in order to qualify for derogation, and hopefully those 31 conditions that's attached to being in derogation will have an impact on water quality, and we'll see that by the time we get to 2025. Like Claire and myself, we had the EPA in at the Agricultural Committee in July, just before the recess, and their report was what this decision was based on, and the facts were there. Water quality wasn't improving. Now what farmers are really vexed over is that the improvements that they done and the extra requirements that they took on weren't given time to work and to show that was having a positive impact on water quality. And we farm in derogation at home. My family farms in derogation, so I'm fully aware of the financial implications of this and the hardship that it's putting on farmers. And the ones that I'm have huge sympathy for is the men on limited acreage with cows, 50, 60, 80, 100 cows,
yeah.
And that they now are told that they have to cut back cow numbers. And they're trying to get the next generation, generation renewal. And if you tell your son or daughter, yeah, come back here farming, but we have to reduce some 80 cows to 65,
yeah,
they're going to turn away from it.
But Deputy Kerrane, I know you're also a member of the Oireachtas Joint Committee on Agriculture, Food and Marine. Do you think there's been some political point scoring been going on in the last week over this crucial issue?
Well, look, I think it'd be hard not to, for anyone in government not to admit it has been a bit of a mess. I mean, really right now, the Taoiseach has to get on the same page as the Minister for Agriculture for the benefit of farmers. If they're going to do this meeting with the Commissioner, they need to be on the same page, they need to have a strategy going in, and they need to be speaking from the same hymn sheet. That part of it has been messy. And look, maybe in some ways Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil are trying to find the difference in themselves, and maybe there's a bit of that going on. But at the end of the day, the focus has to be for the farmers. I hope in a way they haven't been given false hope on this, because as Jackie said, it's not just the Minister that's been clear on this. Following his meeting with the Commissioner, the committee members got the exact same response, and certainly an impression that it is 220. Now, the only little bit of hope there too is when the Minister was in a committee last week, he did confirm some areas will remain at 250, and that just kind of shows you that you can have a stocking rate of 250 and your water quality clearly is okay in those areas. He did say there will be room when they go to 220 to go back to 250, all depending on water quality. I think what's really frustrated farmers is the rug really has been pulled from under them. They haven't had that time to see the consequence and the impact of the practices that they have put in place, in fairness to them. So that's disappointing. But I think we need a plan now to retain the 220, and I think the focus needs to be on that. I don't think the meeting is going to come up with anything different.
Yeah. Do you think it's a waste of time for the Commissioner coming at this particular moment to Ireland? Because, there is a deal done as such. I know we're working to the future. But do you think he should have come earlier?
Well, possibly he should have come earlier, but I think it's most definitely welcome he's coming, because, as I said, our grass-based system of farming is unique in Europe. And we need to show the Commissioner that our grass is able to absorb these nutrients, and that we need that we can have at that level of stocking and be environmentally friendly. And we have to show the Commissioner that this is what we're doing. Now, there will be a change of Commissioner next May or June, but I think it's impossible to get, it is important that we get the Commissioner and his officials here, show them, yes, we can farm at this high stocking rate. And as Clare has said, you know, we see the Temple catchment area in West Cork, where the highest proportion of derogation farms in the country are, the highest concentration, and water quality is improving there. So I think we have to work on that and expand on that. And I think there's a serious onus on Teagasc now to come up with the scientific arguments that show that we can farm at this level of stocking and not have an impact on water quality. We all want to see water quality improving. It's absolutely essential. But we also, we also want to show that our level of farming is sustainable farming, and we can do that. And the demand for food out there was never greater. We met Ambassador McCain there as an Ag committee a couple of weeks ago. She's the UN Ambassador for Food. There's 340 million people in the world today as we sit here starving. And I think that has been lost in all this debate. And Western Europe can produce sustainable food for those people. And we can't let any policies hinder that. And as I said, we have to get water quality right. I fully accept that. But yes, bring the Commissioner here by all means. And the more we can educate Europe about our system of farming and the way that our grassland can grow 300 days a year, we have our stock out 300 days a year. We just have to educate the rest of Europe that this is sustainable farming and doesn't damage the environment.
And Francis, I think we should take every opportunity to bring commissioners from Europe, because Europe do have such a say now on farming in Ireland that we have to take every opportunity to bring them here and let them see what we do, because we are unique, and let them see how farmers farm in Ireland. I think we need to take every opportunity to do that.
Yeah. Now, obviously, there'll be certain farmers deeply affected by the derogation cut, but it's going to impact widely across the communities.
Yep.
Do you think there needs to be financial supports put in place, or what other supports would you like to see the government, particularly now we have a budget coming up just around the corner?
Yeah, well, the wider impact in one sense is going to be land, because
which is already under pressure.
Massively so. And at the end of the day, when this does formally go to 220, the Minister said we'll know the areas firmly, definitely, because there may be some tweaks to the maps by the end of September. And then you're going to have October, November, December, 3 months, and a lot of farmers will be either trying to source land to lease or to buy, which is next or near impossible, or they're going to be reducing the number of animals that they have in the herd, and there'll be complications with that. But there will be a knock-on impact to other sectors in farming, particularly when it comes to land. And there's already competition, like a bit of land goes up for sale. You'd like to see a local farmer or a young farmer, there'll be an impact on them as well. Forestry are there now as well, that's competition too. So there is going to be an impact on land, and we do need to see financial supports from the Minister and from Europe, actually, in relation to the farmers that are going to be directly affected by the derogation in the first instance. And the Minister has said that's actually going to exceed the 3,000 we thought it would be when the mapping is complete. Yeah. So you're looking at over 4,000 farmers, and they do need to be supported.
Yeah.
The banding obviously is going to have an impact on the amount of farmers that qualify. But just even on the 220, I think there's scope for for farmers use a low protein concentrate in their ration. I think that can have an impact on the banding. Also, calves under 3 months of age, I think, should be discounted from calculation of your stocking rates.
Well, I was going to ask you about that, because we've had a lot of concerns about calf welfare here in this country that have been raised.
I've raised that.
And this is a factor.
Yes, I've raised that with the Minister, and I'm confident that calves under 3 months of age will be discounted, which will mean that dairy farmers...
Has he indicated that to you?
Yes. So dairy farmers, won't be worried about the young calf impacting on their stocking rate. And I think, that will have a very positive impact on calf welfare, because I think we all know now that calves need to stay on the farm for a period of time to ensure that we were able to keep our live trading calves going, our live shipping of calves to the continent. And I think it's very important that dairy farmers, don't see that young calf impacting on their stocking rates. Also, and it was brought up the last day with the Minister at the Ag Committee about the way the calculation of slurry has changed and the nutrients value in slurry. that has changed from, it used to be 5.1 per cubic metre, and now the department are evaluating at 2.4. And now the department have promised to come back to the Ag Committee with a paper on the reasons for that change.
Yeah.
And if we could get that back up to somewhere around 4, it would have a positive impact on the banding figures as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work that can be done there on the banding and try and reduce the calculation per cow. Now, it's not going to solve a person, but
The immediate,
if the 220 in essence became 227 or 228, that would take X amount of farmers out of the destocking scenario that they find themselves in. So, there's still scope there for positive things to be done. But, as Clare has said, the competition for land is going to increase. We've already seen it, very intense competition for land.
We've been talking to tillage farmers for the last few days, and they are deeply concerned, and that's something you can appreciate.
Yeah, I met a delegation of tillage farmers in my office in Nina last Monday, and they're very, very worried about being able to hold on to their land bank. And, tillage has become, you have economics of scale in tillage now, and the machinery is very big. And if a tillage farmer hasn't got, significant acreage, it's not a viable financial option for them. So that's going to be an issue, and I actually don't know how you're going to solve that, because the person who's leasing their land is going to lease it to the person who has the ability to pay the most for it, and that's free enterprise. So I actually don't know how that equation is going to be worked out, and it's something the Minister is acutely aware of, but it is a problem, and we all want to preserve our tillage acreage.
What do you think needs to be the approach there?
Yeah, well, look, tillage farmers are obviously under a lot of pressure, and they've had a horrendous year. They've really, really suffered due to the weather, of course. We had the Irish grain growers with us yesterday, a really productive meeting with them, and they will tell you the potential out there for tillage is huge. And we've commitments made in the Climate Action Plan that have to be met in relation to more cover for tillage as well. And I think it's a huge potential for us to produce our own and stand on our own 2 feet an awful lot more. And tillage is one area we really need to be supporting. They are going to need support in the budget, that's absolutely for certain. But it is important to speak about them when we talk about the derogation, because there is an impact on them as well, and we need to be mindful of that too.
Yeah. Do you think that we are now at the start of a new chapter for farming in Ireland, though?
Well, as I said, when we were in Brussels a couple of weeks ago, we met 3 different commissioners and a lot of different officials. And I've never seen such a consistency of policy in Brussels. Like when I was president of a farming organisation, I used to be in Brussels on a very regular basis. The whole policy in Brussels now is climate change, and every policy that they're devising in Brussels is reducing emissions, climate change. And in my view, and I'm not a climate change denier, we have to accept climate change is a fact of life, and we have to adapt to it. But everything we do for the climate has to be economically sustainable as well. And I feel some of that has been lost in the argument. And we have to, everything we do, yes, most definitely we have to be environmentally sustainable, but it also has to be economically sustainable. And I think, that's essential. And I was worried coming home from Brussels about the intransigence of the policy measures that's coming there. And one thing that I came home very convinced about is that the next CAP, which it'll be coming in 2027, which isn't too far away, even though we're only after going into one now, and it's just starting with 2027, isn't 100 miles away. It's going to be virtually, in my opinion, it'll be virtually all environmentally based, and it'll have no links with production.
Do you think, Deputy Kerrane, that Irish farmers are getting the recognition that they deserve for the measures that they've taken already? I know you said, Deputy Cahill, that perhaps some of them haven't been given enough time to actually bed down and be seen to be working, but do you think that is an issue?
I think farmers very, very rarely get recognition. I think they nearly don't expect it. I think farmers are in an awful lot of a different place now. Years and years ago, the reliance and the dependence and the respect that was there for them, because they worked damn hard for not a whole pile. I mean, you're not in farming to be rich in a lot of cases. They work really hard, and there are so many challenges now, particularly around climate action, and those challenges have to be met, and they will be met. But if you take dairy farmers just as one example, they've had the bandy, they've had this now at the derogation, and we need to see stuff coming from government now to support them on the same side. So we can't be asking of farmers all the time and not giving them the supports that they need. So, we have a target to meet. Farmers are ready, willing and able, but they have to be supported. And the question has to be asked, do we want farmers to reduce productivity that we've pushed them into for generations? And, we have to pick a side here, and we have to find the balance to do it the right way. But farmers have to be supported, and they deserve an awful lot more recognition than they get.
Okay. I would think slurry storage and slurry capacity I've been pressing this with Minister McConnell. I think in the budget we need to see a serious initiative on slurry storage, and I think the more slurry storage we have, the more equipped we'll be to ensure that there's no runoff there and spreading of slurry. And the close period for slurry spreading is going to have to be observed and observed strictly, because we all know examples of where slurry has been spread in the months of December, and that's, first of all, is a very efficient use of the nutrients that's in slurry. But if you spread slurry there and the ground is waterlogged, it's going to end up in our rivers. Yeah. So I think there has to be, the way to avoid that and the way to overcome it is with extra slurry storage. And I would be urging the Minister to put a very attractive grant in place. Now, in last year's budget, we allowed the capital depreciation over 2 years, which was a great help. But there needs to be a special fund in TAMS this time for slurry storage.
Thank you so much for joining us, Deputy Jackie Cahill and Deputy Clare Kerrane. It's a subject we could be talking about for the rest of the afternoon, but our teams are out and about, and we're going to go back out and see them in just 1 minute. And I'd like to just thank you, our sponsors here at the Agriland Pavilion this afternoon, UPMC and Pearson Milking. Thank you.